What's up, Applied English? Had to grab my traditional virtual day snapback for today's lesson video. It is NBA playoff season anyway, so no matter what Mr. Jackson tells you, it's Bucks in 6, especially for this first round. In all seriousness, welcome to our virtual lesson, just one lesson for this whole entire weekend. You can do it on Friday, you can do it as late as Monday. It should only take you a little bit of time to work through. Objective for today is simply to manage time effectively. I know you guys are juggling a couple of things over these next 4 days here. Just want to see your ability to work through this particular lesson, as well as take care of your Up From Slavery project if you haven't turned it in already. If you haven't taken a moment yet to say a prayer, you may want to pause this video, say a quick prayer for your learning today. Alright, so right now you're watching our speech unit introduction video. It is right below this agenda. I will tell you, at the end of this video, I'll give a real brief review of how to submit your Up From Slavery project, again if you haven't done so already. I am really pleased to see that about a third of you turned it in early, which is fantastic. You do still have the whole weekend, all the way through Monday, to make sure projects are properly submitted. Check out this lesson folder. So speech unit introduction right here. So as it says, please watch this video for an introduction of our final unit. Again, I'll give that little review of how to submit projects as well. I also forgot to mention that I will attach the PowerPoint that I'll be using here as well, so you can click into it and read through it on your own. I'm just going to pull it up in PowerPoint itself. And here it is. So a little microphone just to signify that we are making the transition from a lot of reading and writing into speech skills. I do want to make sure that we get some good speech practice in this year. In English 1, you're going to continue to practice reading and writing, but there are some presentation components that I want you to be ready for. And speech skills are just incredibly useful for your future careers as well, whether you're going into the workforce, whether you're going to college, whether you're picking up a trade, whatever it might be. You'll certainly need to be able to speak effectively with other people, or possibly to an audience. I forgot that there's sound effects on that. I'm not sure if you could hear that. In any case, the main way that we're going to practice speech skills over this next week and a half here, is actually by practicing a little bit of drama. So there are some terms we want to learn as we get moving here. Again, these will also be useful in English 1, especially for your Romeo and Juliet unit next year. So first of all, what is drama? Drama is actually just a type of story. It's a story represented through the dialogue and action of actors, specifically. This would include the media of film, TV, and stage plays. So dramas are meant to be viewed, actually. They're meant to be performed, not simply meant to be read. That does make them a little bit different from other stories. Where drama is like other stories, though, is that they do include other literary terms that we've been learning. So everything we've learned so far this year about plot and symbolism and characters, conflict, themes, point of view, setting, plays have those too. I should say dramas have those too, whether it's a play or a TV series or a film. They all have these literary devices going on as well. You'll get especially a lot of practice with those next year in Romeo and Juliet. Couple of terms that you will hear us use over this next week here, and I put these little stars by especially important terms for us. First of all, when we talk about plays, a playwright with a WR is the title for a person who writes plays. There's a little bust of William Shakespeare, most famous playwright in the English language. Again, Romeo and Juliet is next year for you guys, so you get your nice high school introduction to Shakespeare. Script. I did put stars by this because you'll hear me use this term quite a bit. A script is simply a printed copy of a play, or of an act, or of a scene. We won't have enough time to do like a full act or a full play, but we will be working with scenes this next week here. So when plays get divided up, they get divided into acts. Most Shakespeare plays have 5 acts. And then acts get subdivided into scenes. Usually scenes begin and end with specific time periods. So if a scene needs to cover, let's say, like 15 minutes worth of time, it's going to start at a specific setting, in a specific time and place, I should say. It's going to end in that same place. Oftentimes scenes change when the setting needs to change in a play. Some more important terms, there are 2 of them on this slide that are crazy important for us. For one is cues. Cues are probably going to be rather new. as we are diving into scripts these next couple of days here. Cues are usually in italics when you're reading a script. And what cues do is they are just something that precedes the next action. They actually tell actors what to do rather than what to say. So cues could tell actors like how to deliver a specific line. They might give actors a spot to go to on the stage. It might tell them to do a specific action and so on. Some of those specific cues might be entering and exiting. Entering simply means to come onto the stage, into sight. Exiting means to leave the stage, to go out of sight. Then there's also dialogue and monologue. We are actually going to get a little bit of practice with both, but notice that I put some stars by monologue because we'll get quite a bit of practice with those. Dialogue, dia means two, is conversation between two or more characters. Most plays are driven by dialogue. There's also monologues. Those are times when one person kind of takes that center stage, takes the spotlight, and speaks for a longer period of time. That's largely what you guys will be practicing over this next week here. By the way, if I'm ever going too fast here, feel free to pause this video to read. Again, you have access to these in Schoology as well. Areas of the stage. Now, I will not quiz you over these this year. They're a little bit tricky, but it's very possible that some of the scripts you'll be looking at may have some of these directions. You should be aware of how they work. The way that areas of the stage get labeled is in relation to the actors. So backstage, that's the easiest one. That's just the area that the audience cannot see. Oftentimes backstage is where, like on a stage play, that would be where props are hidden. It's where other characters are hiding when they're not in a specific scene, and so on. Upstage is the area furthest from the audience. So again, upstage is as far away as possible from the audience itself. Downstage is closer to the audience. Center stage is also easy, area in the center. Then we also get stage left, stage right. This is where people trip up the most. Stage left would be the area to the actor's left, not the audience's left. Stage right would be actor's right, not the audience's right. So if you do see these directions in a script that you'll be working with this next week, that's what they're referring to. To see it as a diagram, you got upstage, far away from the audience. Backstage areas, again, not visible. They're usually covered by walls or curtains. Downstage is close to the audience. Center stage is obvious. Stage left is actor's left. Stage right is actor's right. And there's the audience. A lot of stars on this slide because the main thing we want to use drama for is to practice our speech skills directly. These are some terms that we're going to hear quite a bit over this next week here as we talk about how to deliver lines from a script. Notice that these are in quotation marks. Again, these are quotes that you'll hear me say. I have a little bit of experience with directing plays, or assistant directing plays, I should say. These are phrases I use quite a bit when I'm trying to coach actors through how they deliver their lines. One of them is project. We've talked about projection before in Applied English. Projection is not yelling, but it's simply pushing your voice further so that you can be heard clearly. Even at this distance from the microphone, I'm projecting. I'm kind of pushing through some allergy stuff right now, but I want to make sure all of my listeners can hear me clearly. Some of that just has to do with using the muscles in my diaphragm, in my chest, in my neck, and in my mouth to really make sure that my voice can be heard. Not yelling, simply projecting. Watch your pace, slowing down delivery to be clearer. In general, when we get nervous, and I know a number of you are kind of nervous about just getting out in front of an audience this next month here, we tend to speak quicker than we normally would when we're nervous. And when we speak too quickly, it oftentimes messes up with our enunciation. If you ever hear me say watch your pace, that usually means I want you to slow down and enunciate more. It could mean that you're going way too slow and need to pick up the pace, but that is very rare. Enunciate. I mentioned this a moment ago. Enunciation simply means delivering your words more clearly. Usually that's because there's specific syllables you want to emphasize. So like, I just used the word clearly a moment ago, right? You'll notice that I'm really emphasizing that CL, that to make sure that I can be heard, and then that li at the end of the word too. I don't want to mumble my way through, otherwise my audience can't understand me. When I enunciate, I want to make sure each word can be heard very clearly by my audience, even by the person furthest away from me. It should be noted, oftentimes enunciation is paired with projection or pace. Sometimes people are not enunciating well because they need to project more. Sometimes people are not enunciating well because they're speaking way too quickly and need to slow down and emphasize those syllables. I should say projection and enunciation are the two main things I'm going to be looking for, so I can really coach you through your speech skills before we do our final project. Get into character. If I'm ever yelling that at my actors, like through our school drama program, that just means that they're not delivering their lines as their character would. They might be kind of delivering them as themselves, but not really getting into their character's emotions or personality. As you guys are practicing here, you will have a character to play, and so you'll have to think through how your character would sound. How does your character speak? How does your character act? How does your character move? And so on. The rest of this is just breakdown of what our speech skills unit is going to look like week by week. After this, I'll do a quick little demonstration again of how to submit your Up From Slavery project. First of all, I want you to remember that our work with drama is merely practice. I am not grading you super heavily on acting skills because we're not spending a whole lot of time on acting skills. It's practice for two things. One is that it's practice for our final project. We'll break that down in just a moment here. But since our final is a presentation, I want to be able to give you some feedback on your speaking and listening skills. It's also good practice for Romeo and Juliet next year. Next year you'll have a gigantic script to read as part of English 1. I want you to be familiar with how to navigate a script, how to enunciate, how to project, so that that is an easier unit for you. Anyways, here's what these last 5 weeks of the semester look like. So this week, April 25th through the 28th, we're going to do some practice in class with monologues and dialogues. So we'll do some listening in, some watching, to see how the pros do it. I'm also going to have you guys select monologues or dialogues to present in front of class. We'll present, though, the following week, so you have some days of practice in class, either alone with a monologue or with a partner for dialogue. In between presentations, May 1 through 5, that's where we'll introduce our final project. It is creating a research folder, and I have a bunch of examples in my classroom for that. During that first week, we should be able to get our topics selected. I've got a big topic list I'm creating. We'll also talk about how to research using the internet, and we'll work on collecting some research sources in order to identify some more information about our topics. May 8th through the 12th is another 5-day week. It's during that week that we'll actually do the setup for our research folders. I have to go out and do some shopping for those. The biggest step of that project is creating information note cards. So we'll have quite a bit of time in class to do some writing there, digging through your sources, pulling out information, getting your folders set up that way. May 15th through the 19th, I'll teach you guys how to create a works cited page that week. That's probably the hardest step of them all. Again, information note cards is the longest. Works cited pages is maybe the toughest step in the process. We should have some days towards the end of that week to give you some time to wrap up creating your research folders, maybe decorating and designing them a bit. We'll also do a review of presentation skills so that you can practice your presentation. May 22nd should be a final work day. That's the Monday of finals week. And then from there, the rest of finals week. So the Tuesday, we can take early presentations. And then during the final period, the majority of you will present your research folders in front of the class. We'll talk more about that project specifically once we introduce it around May 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, somewhere in there. Once again, the big focus for the rest of the semester is going to be speaking skills, now that you guys have done a ton of reading and writing. That final project has some reading and writing components, but the main way that you're getting evaluated is on your presentation itself, which is why we want to practice our speech skills. Last little reminder, how to turn in your Up From Slavery project. Once again, on the right-hand side, you will see a button that says Upload Submission or Upload Assignment, something like that. Before you click on that, you may need to download your document to your computer in order to upload it well in Schoology. There we go. And the way to do that is to log into your document itself. Whether it's a PowerPoint or a Word document, it doesn't matter. The process is the same. I'll just click on my Word document. And here it is. Sorry if there's a weird jump in the video. It took my computer forever. Let's say this is a document I want to submit. The way to download it to my computer is to go File, up here in the upper left-hand corner, Save As. and then download a copy. I'm not actually going to click it right now because that'll just download it to my computer anyway, but from there it should make it easier to upload your file through Schoology by downloading to your computer. If you are having issues with this step over the weekend, let me know so I can help you just next week, either during class or maybe even after school when I'm a little more available. But I do want to get these in so you don't have to worry about them as we transition into speech skills. So I think on that note, I will say peace, and I'll catch you guys on Tuesday.